probably know this guy. Our next guest focused on the economic impact of Latinos on the U.S. economy. We do this. At least once a year. Sometimes this is only part one of the report, so we may do it again. Joining us now, Saul Trujillo. Trujillo Group, founder and chairman of the Latino Donor Collaborative, and a new report from the group is similar to previous ones, showing the effect of the Latino cohort on the U.S. economy. And I love you always compare it to global economies. And I just ask you whether you really checked your math, because the GDP is so big, 4.4 trillion Latinos generated in the U.S., that it would be ahead of Japan, India, the UK, France, Italy, and Canada. Not combined, but each one of those, it's actually a bigger GDP.
That is absolutely correct. So as a business person, I always look at our economy. So you spend most of your time talking about AI for the last 2 years. And so that's about the productivity side, mostly in terms of its impact on GDP. We should always talk about consumption, because consumption is the other side of the economy, and it's the bigger side. And the question is who's buying? Who's buying products? Who's taking market share? Who's losing market share? And if I were on the buy side, sell side of the equation, I'd be spending my time to look at what's happening. When we look at share shifts, a Budweiser versus Modelo beer, a T-Mobile versus AT&T and Verizon, a Toyota versus a GM and Ford, the share shift is occurring because the volumes now, with this younger age cohort, it's now nearing 70 million people in the United States with dramatically higher incomes than around the world. It's a big business story that people should be focused on, which is why I come here, because I'm telling my American economy story, as opposed to just a Latino economic story.
And if you want to gain market share in your U.S. company, you should not ignore these things. So 20% of the population, but 28% of economic growth. So that cohort.
Yeah, why is it an outsized spend?
Well, it's because it's younger. So we have a weighted average impact of the baby boomer, which is predominantly Anglo male, female. And the most populated age there is 61. The most populated age in the Latino cohort is 17. So there's a whole succession going on right now in terms of our economy. People entering the workplace, people getting educated, all that sort of thing, which is natural. And this is what sets the United States apart from other economies around the world, is that we have a growth cohort that's sizable and youthful and entrepreneurial and all the things above. So when we look at the data, 3 tracks. One is GDP, which you mentioned already, 4.4 trillion. And now it's only trailing Germany, and it will probably pass Germany in the next year or two. The second track is income and growth in income, $3.4 trillion of income. So this is not just numbers created.
That's growing faster than
and the last one is consumption. And
2.8 trillion, right?
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that, because having run companies and competing for customers, market share, margins, all those things, I think we're lacking that conversation when I watch your show all the time, and I watch other parts of CNBC, and I don't see people talking about who are the customers. So when you talk about AI, and you talk about agentic AI, who's going to pay for all this at the end of the day?
And what do you think the answer to that question is?
Well, the answer is this cohort.
You're asking rhetorically, or?
No, I ask it rhetorically of a lot of CEOs that I talk to. But at the same time, I think everybody, the market should understand, you better start paying attention to who's going to pay for it, because there's trillions of dollars of capital that's going to be invested over the next 3-4 years. And that takes a lot of customer revenue to make back. So my experience, having run infrastructure building companies around the world, is you get about 1/3 of your investment back through the enterprise level, the big companies that buy all your services. The other 2/3 comes from whoever the consumer set is. And our consumer set in the United States is really changing right before our eyes, but we don't talk about it. Or we talk about it politically negatively, but we should all understand we have a unique attribute in our country, which is the U.S. Latino.
And so what are our business leaders missing about this? And what would they do differently if they wanted to tap into that cohort? How would you approach it?
Well, it's what I've done in running the companies I have, which is I'm a zealot about segmentation. I want to know who's buying. I want to know who's growing fastest and who's growing income fastest. And I want to know that because I want to get them first, because the cost of acquisition is lower. And over the lifetime of the customer, your lifetime value of the customer is much higher. So it's basic business. People have gotten a little bit distracted, in my opinion, by the tech side of the conversation, which is important. I'm not saying it isn't. But there's also the consumption side, which is where you make your money.
All right. So what do they need? How do they tap into that? What are they not doing now that they should?
I think they need to start asking their CMOs questions, their heads of sales questions about
how to,
are you going after all the customers, or are you still stuck in your old paradigm of who
So it would be a different marketing campaign because everybody, I mean, we would hope everybody.
Yeah, let me-
all Americans assimilating into the culture. Right?
That's a great question. The one thing of marketing for the last 2,000 years has been people like to see themselves.
Well,
right?
Jesus started it. Is that what you?
It may have been longer. But my point is people like to see themselves. So let me give you an example. During the World Cup, I've heard a lot of companies say, gee, we're reaching a lot of Latinos because soccer is the sport and all that kind of stuff. And then you look at their commercials. And there's Anglo-Americans, African-Americans, Asian-Americans. And we did a search. A very small percentage had Latinos in it.
Really?
So if you're talking to Latinos, or you think you're,
right.
yeah, I mean, this is basic marketing. People have to relearn that the customer.
You think it's really a blind spot
I do.
through corporate America.
And I have the data. We can do it. We can do a Gemini search.
They
We
take
can
it for
do
granted.
it.
I think they just think, yeah, look, the Latinos will respond to the same advertising everybody responds to. So wouldn't you hope?
Well,
you have to make it.
Well, and the answer is sometimes people like to see themselves.
Right. Okay.
Right. I mean, that's human nature.
Right.
So when you go to Asia and you're sitting there as the unique person in the room, and you're living there, because I've lived in other parts of the world, you know, you have to talk to those who you think are going to buy and have the best opportunity to buy, have the income to buy,
Right.
and have the inclination to be brand loyal.
All right. So we got to go. That was the greatest Super Bowl halftime ever, I think, this time. Right.